Like so many other children, the playful tune of an ice cream van holds an allure that is too much to resist. Around 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, the 2nd of January 1999, Mikelle, along with her younger sister Kimber, ran outside clutching 2 quarters each. But only one of the girls would return home. 11-year-old Mikelle pleaded with her mom to go and get a popsicle, so the 2 girls, having succeeded with airing their case, took the family dog out to go and get a frozen treat each. Mikelle hopped onto Kimber's brand new pink and purple bicycle, whilst Kimber herself was on foot. As they made their way to the street corner, several other children who had heard the ice cream van's tune playing from a distance joined the congregation of kids on the intersection of Toltec Street in Mesa, Phoenix, Arizona. When the ice cream van failed to appear, some children became restless. Only a few minutes had passed, but the temperature of that evening was quite chilly and in the area of 60 degrees. The children began to disperse back to their homes after it seemed that the music was moving away from their location. But Mikelle was determined to wait and get a popsicle, amusing herself by riding around her sister in circles. Kimber, who was 9 at the time, however, decided that she wanted to go back to the warmth and safety of her family home. Just 4 houses from the corner, Kimber ran inside. When her mother realized that the child had come home alone, she sent her daughter back out to get her sister. Grabbing a jacket, Kimber headed back to the corner to retrieve Mikelle. From the point of Kimber leaving her sister to going home and coming back out to the intersection again is estimated to have taken place in the time frame of about 90 seconds. And unfortunately for the Biggs family, something happened in those 90 seconds. Kimber approached the corner with annoyance. Her new bike looked as though it had been thrown to the ground. The wheels were still in motion, indicating that whatever had taken place happened quickly and shortly after Kimber had left. The 9-year-old's irritation quickly turned to worry when it appeared that Mikelle had vanished. The 2 quarters she had for ice cream were on the sidewalk, close to Kimber's bike. The scene was all that remained of Mikelle having been at the intersection. Frightened, Kimber ran back home and explained to her mom, Tracy Biggs, that she couldn't find her sister. Unable to locate her daughter following an immediate and panicked search, Tracy reported the young girl missing to police at 6:15 p.m. The police response was swift, and they realized quickly that they were likely dealing with an abduction. Kimber's bike was facing the direction of home, indicating that she was heading for home, but was snatched off of her bike before she managed to get very far from the corner. Police and volunteers conducted a thorough search, combing through the neighborhood until 2 a.m. on the morning of the 3rd of January. Infrared was used via a search helicopter overhead to scan the neighborhood and the local surrounding area. Bloodhounds were also used in an attempt to determine what direction the child had taken. Sadly, these proved to be of little use, as the scent was tracked for only a few feet from the bicycle, indicating that a vehicle was involved. Hundreds of people showed up to assist in the search for Mikelle. Posters were hung up, flyers were handed out, and canals and orange groves were searched. In the space of a week, over 50,000 flyers were distributed across a 45 square mile area. Roadblocks were set up in 6 designated areas of the neighborhood to question those entering and exiting the local vicinity of where Mikelle had vanished. No stone was left unturned, with officers questioning every registered sex offender in the neighborhood, but each one could be accounted for during the time frame of Mikelle being taken. Strangely, investigators called and spoke to every ice cream vendor in the city of Mesa. But not one of the known ice cream companies identified themselves as having an ice cream truck in the neighborhood where Mikelle was abducted from. No ice cream truck was officially sighted, so it's believed that whatever the children heard that evening was likely something else. There's never been any explanation for the tune that was heard, and nobody has ever come forward to offer information about this particular anomaly of the case. Given that several children from different households heard the music, it must have been loud. Surely someone, a pedestrian, somebody in a car, or somebody just listening in would have likely have heard this volume for themselves. Investigators who spoke to residents reported that for the most part, nobody noticed or saw anything unusual except for 3 in total, who mentioned seeing a copper-coloured Jeep leaving the area around the time of Mikelle going missing. Police informed the public of this information, which brought forward a flurry of more than 300 tips. One caller reported seeing a Jeep matching the description pulled over in the desert to the northwest of Mesa. A mass of over 100 officers from Maricopa County were sent into the area and spent 24 hours searching the terrain, but nothing related to Mikelle's disappearance was recovered. The owner of the copper-coloured Jeep eventually came forward and was cleared of any involvement in the case. Police continued their search and continued to use bloodhounds, ATVs and horses to search through the desert area surrounding Saguaro Lake and the mountainous outskirts of the city. Nothing was ever found that could advance the investigation. For the people of the Mesa community, shockwaves began to permeate into their lives. The area had always been considered to be safe and a place to raise families, but since Mikelle's disappearance, parents were refusing to let their children out of their sight. The speed of the event was terrifying to residents and believed that there was nothing to stop this crime from occurring again. Police naturally felt mounting pressure to find the perpetrator or perpetrators and worked on bringing Mikelle home 24 hours a day. A month following the incident brought nothing to light to determine where Mikelle could be. Tips were dwindling, so police made the announcement that they were offering a $60,000 reward for information leading to Mikelle's whereabouts or those responsible for her abduction. Sadly, not even this large cash reward was able to pull in any new leads. Police grew desperate, with no witnesses to the abduction or suspects to put a face to the person or persons who took the young girl. The investigators tried using psychics and asked nearly a dozen Mesa residents to submit to voluntary searches of their homes. This again turned up nothing relevant to the case. By the end of 1999, the case had gone cold, but detectives were still determined to pursue and use every resource available to them. Every ice cream vendor in the state ended up being spoken to. Sightings from Pennsylvania to California were all followed up on. Over 7,000 tips were carefully examined and approximately 40 abandoned mine shafts were investigated with no results to thank officers for their efforts. The possibility that Mikelle had been sold into a human trafficking ring in Mexico was looked into, but ultimately Mikelle had disappeared without a trace. Mikelle's parents, Tracy and Darian Briggs, made a public appeal on the 2nd anniversary of their daughter's abduction, pleading for information and the return of their child, in an attempt to end the agonizing wait for information about Mikelle's fate. The family of Mikelle have publicly stated that they believe that their daughter is no longer alive, and they have also declared that they know who is responsible for her death. The man they named was one of the sex offenders that police investigated early on in the case, and maintain that the man the Biggs family named was not a suspect to them, despite their opposing belief. Dee Blalock lived 2 blocks away from Mikelle's family home. They believed that he had likely seen her in the neighborhood, especially as she had piano lessons at a home next to his own. Blalock participated in the searches for Mikelle and attended several vigils held in the neighborhood. Police were aware of his criminal record, which included child molestation and kidnapping, and could confirm his alibi for the time period of Mikelle's abduction. Blalock had allowed police to search his home, and it's noted that they didn't find anything incriminating. In March of 2018, over 19 years since Mikelle's disappearance, Mikelle's case resurfaced after a dollar bill was found in Wisconsin. Handwritten in black ink around the edge of the dollar, someone had printed, "My name is Mikelle Biggs, kidnapped from Mesa, AZ. I'm alive." The bill had been printed in 2009. Mikelle would have been around 20 years old at the time. Investigators believe the note to be a hoax, primarily because the writing itself is quite childlike and the name is misspelled. Unfortunately, even if the note isn't a hoax, police have virtually no way of tracing where the dollar may have come from before its appearance in Wisconsin. Mikelle was 11 years old at the time of her vanishing. She's noted as being highly intelligent, yet reserved when meeting new people, and was well educated in the concept of stranger danger. She would not have gone willingly with someone she didn't know. Mikelle had brown hair at the time of her disappearance and has hazel eyes. She was 4 foot 8 inches tall and weighed in the area of 85 pounds. She was last seen wearing bell-bottom style blue jeans, which had embroidered seams running the length of the outside of each leg. She had on a red t-shirt with a white stripe going across the chest and white canvas shoes. Additional information states that she had several moles on the right side of her neck, as well as having her ears pierced. She was also believed to be wearing a purple Barbie brand watch. The image you are currently seeing on screen is an age progression of Mikelle, who would be 34 at the time and recording of this video. If you have any information into the abduction or whereabouts of Mikelle Biggs, please contact the Mesa Police Department on 480-644-2211. Every child deserves to be looked for, regardless of how much time has passed. Someone out there knows what happened to Mikelle, and they have the power to end what has now been decades of heartache and suffering. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you can, please share this video on your social media accounts. It's so vital that we keep any missing children in the public eye. You will find all my information on how to email me and my social media accounts in the description box below.